All right, what's going on, y'all? Day 8. Day 8. So let's go ahead and get to it. So today was my cardio day, so I did some more extensive stretching, not necessarily as extensive as what I do at night, but it was more than I usually do after a workout. I'm still moving forward. Ooh. And still working hard to increase my flexibility significantly before I finish this stretching challenge. Hopefully, if you've been following me on this challenge, you have been stretching yourself. One thing I've learned on the fitness journey is that a lot of times to make progress, you do have to do more than you think. And I had to be careful with that because I don't want to make that like a rule, like it's always the case, because sometimes you have to work kind of like smarter as well. Matter of fact, I'll say you always have to learn so you can work smarter, because there are, for example, even with stretching, there are techniques that you can use that will, for example, the breathing that I've talked about, where you kind of deep breathe and you exhale, and it allows you to go deeper into the stretch. Stuff like that, those kind of techniques actually do make stretching a little bit more easy, or I'll say more effective. But at the same time, it is also true, I believe, at least oftentimes, that you have to do a little bit more than you think to get the results that you want. But yeah, you have to kind of do a little bit more than you think. I talked about in my stretching video, I think for yesterday, I t- so yesterday I was recording my my stretching video, and my battery went out. I didn't realize my camera wasn't charged, and so I decided to just kind of resume. I did finish my stretching when I was recording then, but I just didn't record it. So I'm just I'm just doing it now. But but yeah. So anyhow, you know, a lot of times, and I think this is what I was talking about, I should have checked, but a lot of times we don't do enough. We don't do enough of whatever it is that we're trying to, accomplish. Like, we don't do enough exercise. We don't do enough, in my case, stretching here. And then we kind of like, we get lackluster results. And the thing is, it doesn't really have to be that way. It doesn't have to be that way that you get lackluster results, but we just have to change our mindset. So I can't remember if I mentioned this in the short video I shot yesterday when I was recording footage, but you know, I learned as a personal trainer, or I think I talked about this in a previous video, but I learned as a personal trainer that you shoot for 150 minutes of exercise every week as a minimum. That's 30 minutes, 5 days a week. But that is like, I mean, that's okay. But as far as like changing your body, that is not gonna really do that much of anything. It's just not going to. And so what we really had to do is kind of like turn that thing totally upside down and really aim for way more. I mentioned the example of athletes who would train for hours a day, 2, 3, 4 plus hours every single day, which seems unfathomable, but it's really not. If you think about it, even though we work eight hours a day typically, which, I'm not naive about that, But my point is, we're designed to move. And so it shouldn't necessarily be too off the wall for us to consider being active large portions of the day, even if you have to pepper it in throughout the day. Even if you have to pepper it in throughout the day, it shouldn't be outlandish. But here's the deal: the fact that exercising for several hours a day can seem unusual to us, that in and of itself shows that we had to kind of change our mindset. We had to change our mindset. And because I think that whenever we look at exercise that way, that in and of itself makes it hard for us to get results. You do this butterfly stretch, but that makes it hard for us to get results because we just end up not doing enough. We end up not doing enough. I remember being a young man or a kid basically in high school running track. And we would go to track practice, and you practice what for about 2 hours? I want to say something like 2 hours. I think from 4 to 6, or if it was that long. And then you leave and you be exhausted, and you just you be all drowsy and whatever for the rest of the day. One thing I really wish I had done when I ran track was train in the off season. And I didn't use the discipline to do that. But if I had gone above and beyond and done that, especially, with the mindset I have now, I would have been doing a lot more, and I would have been a lot better in track if I had done that. I know I would. But again, there's just like a mindset that we have. I speak for myself because you may be good, but there's a mindset that we carry with exercise and stuff like that, where we just don't do enough, and we set ourselves up to fail. We set ourselves up to fail because we just kind of go through the motions. Basically, we just check off boxes and say, well, I did X, Y, Z, and therefore I'm good. But did you do enough of X, Y, Z? Now it's very smart whenever it comes to like exercise and whatnot to be careful with what you do. You don't necessarily want to do, like, for example, very high intensity exercise like all the time. You want to balance high intensity with low intensity. But you still, like, for example, even today is an upper body day for me. And so I'm going to do some weightlifting, but then I'm also going to do calisthenics, and I'm also going to probably walk too. And so that's kind of like how I'm approaching that. High intensity with low intensity. Well, weightlifting is probably moderate intensity, so is calisthenics. But anyway, my point is, we got to change our mindsets about what's enough. Don't just check boxes, because when you just check boxes with exercise, now if you're just getting started, then that's one thing. But if you're just checking boxes with exercise, and you don't find yourself really getting satisfactory results, and that's probably why, because you're just not doing enough. You're just not doing enough. So anyhow, I'll let that be it. I am going to kind of finish some other stretches. I'm going to finish some other stretches after I turn this video off. I just wanted to give a little bit more just to kind of show me going through the motions. But I really am stretching, y'all. All right, make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. If you're stretching, let me know in the comments, okay? I want to see what you're doing, and even if you have any other tips, because people have given tips from time to time, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, take care and have a good one.